What happens when a philosopher declares,
God is dead?
With those words, Friedrich Nietzsche shattered the foundations of Western thought.
I was not celebrating atheism, I was warning of a crisis. If the old gods were gone, what would take their place? My work was not just philosophy. It was prophecy. A vision of modern life filled with danger, possibility, and the challenge of creating meaning in a world without certainty.
Born in 1844 in Aachen, Germany, Nietzsche was a brilliant but fragile child. By his 20s, he became a professor of philology, studying ancient Greek tragedy. In The Birth of Tragedy, his first book, he argued that Euripides and the rational spirit of Socrates had killed the true power of tragedy, the wild, ecstatic force of Dionysus. For Nietzsche, the Greeks had once embraced both order and chaos, but philosophy and reason suffocated that balance. Nietzsche's most famous words came not from joy, but from dread. He saw that the decline of religion in Europe was leaving a vacuum. Without God, people would cling to shallow comforts, nationalism, consumerism, blind faith in science. He wrote, "God is dead. God remains dead. And we have killed him." It was not a celebration, it was a challenge. If the old foundations are gone, humanity must build new ones. Nietzsche believed that life itself is driven by a fundamental force, the will to power. Not just political power, but the drive to grow, create, and overcome. He despised conformity, mediocrity, and the herd mentality. For him, morality was not universal but created, shaped by the strong and the bold. His concept of the Übermensch, the overman, was not a tyrant, but a creator of new values, someone who transforms suffering into strength. Nietzsche asked a haunting question: what if you had to live your life over and over again, in exactly the same way, for all eternity? This eternal return was not a literal belief, but a test. If you can embrace life, even its pain, tragedy, and absurdity, then you have truly affirmed existence.
My own life was tragic. My health collapsed, my friendships with thinkers like Wagner fell apart, and in 1889 I suffered a mental breakdown from which I never recovered.
He died in 1900, misunderstood by many. But his words lived on, sometimes misused, twisted, and distorted, even by regimes he would have despised. And yet, his true legacy remains, a philosophy of courage, creativity, and radical honesty. Nietzsche forces us to ask, without God, without certainty, what do we build our lives upon? He once wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." His challenge is timeless, not to despair at the death of old truths, but to create new ones, to live so fully that even eternal return would be a joy. Nietzsche does not give us comfort. He gives us fire. And with it, the burden and the freedom of creating meaning in a universe that owes us nothing.